How's everybody going? I just left off my man, Intentional Millionaire. I've been doing too much, but I'm going from his live stream to my live stream, though. But nah, I joined it. I was chopping it up a little bit about real estate. I got my tone a little bit. So let's talk about this AWS real quick. I usually go over the videos I did for the week. I just didn't get those slides together. So um, let's see. I guess I can look them up on the side while we waiting for people to fall in. My little coach playing today at 4 o'clock, I think. Ooh, man. So, like I said, shout out to CL. Glad he could join me. Peace and bless. I appreciate Scorpio Retro 30 found you through Brother Wade here in Town. Yep, I'm in Town. I'm in Louisville right up to. Yeah, nice to meet you. Man. That Midwest life. Shout out to PB. Shout out to CL. Yeah, we're going to go over a little AWS, working on my certs. Like I said, that's gonna be my next 10 years. I'm gonna slide in. So we put in cybersecurity with AWS. Everything's going to the cloud. See, I'll tell you, when you do a lot of vendors now, most of their stuff is going to be in AWS, Azure, and Google's got a few percentage, right? So just trying to get my cloud skills at a certain level, right? So like I said, I'll be 55 this year. I need another 10 to get to 65 to retire. So working on them cloud skills to get there. Y'all got any questions? Shout out to CL. I was just left Intentional Millionaire chopping it up about real estate. So I went from one live stream of mine. So I really enjoyed the talk over there. I usually don't talk a lot about real estate though, but he's one of the good guys in there. So once again, we was chopping it up. Oh yeah, shout out Terraform. I'm actually doing Cloud Formation PB, which is AWS versions of Terraform. Once I get Cloud Formation down, and I had a stream that I was doing, I'm gonna start back up there. Is DevOps is I think what I'm gonna push for in the AWS Cloud PB. So I'm actually gonna do DevSecOps. So the first version of AWS's version of infrastructure as code. I'm calling it compliance as code. This Terraform is their basis for, and I'm gonna do a couple streams on that. But it's super similar to a Terraform. I probably do the pluses and minuses about Terraform. I probably definitely gonna learn about Terraform because I definitely want to get into multi-cloud PB. But before you get to multi-cloud, I got to get to one cloud. So I decided to go all in and make sure I understand the AWS services pretty well before I start doing the multi-cloud. But now Terraform is definitely up there. Once again, cloud formation, and I'm actually going to start doing labs on that, um, using cloud formation, like you said, to do infrastructure as a code. Actually, put that out there and use. It's called Beanstalk. Once you do the infrastructure, how do you build up your patching your Tomcat if you're doing Java, right? PHP, right? You can actually use their it's called an Elastic Beanstalk, so then you can automate uh, installing your code, right? Uploading your code and building your code, right? Part of that, you know. So once you get the infrastructure, you got to put the code out there to run, right? So you can use Cloud Formation, ops work, Elastic Beanstalks. They got a service control. So they got 3 or 4 different services to do that. So let's see what my man says. Let me highlight him in the chat. I just set up NLB in front of Abel using a bridge between the two. That's cool. I actually did that in a lab too. I always think, when would I do that? So if I use the NLB, I probably wouldn't use the ALB, but I feel you. I feel you. Because too, I was going to use the ALB PB, and I'm actually moving over to the AW the gateway, right? Because you can use ALB to load balance, or you can use the API gateway to get to your back end, right? So there's a couple ways to do that. So you can use the ALB, the API gateway. You can use CloudFront, right? And it'll actually map it to whatever origin. So there's a couple ways to do that. But yeah, and two is like you're saying is I want to be versed in each one of those different architectures, PB. So ALB doesn't give you a static IP. No, facts. I would use I'm thinking about that. No, you're right. But yeah, but what you would put in front of that, right? I would use Route 53 to get my static IP and my DNS, right? For whatever my static URL name, right? I'm gonna link that to the ALB. Then the ALB can load balance off the ALB. And then two is you can have two ALBs and two ALBs in different regions, right? And your Route 53 coming from you doing DNS could balance from health for each one of those. So usually I would use my DNS for that static part. So I was confused how to set up the DNS routing using the A record. Yeah, that's when I was doing my Route 53 was for the A record. Are you using a Route 53 for the DNS service? That's where you do your A record and now your aliases, PB. But you can only do that for a subdomain. No, that's true. But you would do your root domain inside Route 53 with your DNS, then all those would be subdomains off of your Route 53, right? Where you would do your A record, right? Your C record would be off your DNS record. And like you said, all those subdomains and aliases would be off of your ALB coming off your DNS, right? Which is Route 53. Oh no, facts. You can use GoDaddy. You can actually take your GoDaddy search and put them in Route 53, PB. A lot of people use them in GoDaddy, but you can actually set them up and use them in Route 53. You can actually bring DNS and search from other root CAs and put them in Route 53, PB. So once again, put any questions in the chat. And PB, I'm learning too, man. I want to make it sound. I got 3 or 4 certs, but I'm still learning too, PB. I want to make that too. Is that's what I've been working on too. Is I'm actually about to buy my my root certificate for a couple things. So I was actually going to really start setting it up. So I was actually going to do my root certificate to Amazon, so I know it's all there. But I read that you could port those over. Really mean migrate to DNS? Yeah. Yep. Then you could use all the AWS services. Yeah, you can go to Route 53. Actually, that was on one of my practice questions, PB. So I'm sure about that. Yeah, so you could do that. Yeah, so you can use Route 53 for your DNS. Then you could use health checks and DNS off your ALB or NLB. You could do that off of your Route 53. So if any of that fails for DNS reason, then you can just bring up a error page straight off Route 53. So we're gonna talk about Amazon EventBridge. I was trying to drill down each individual AWS services that's used. Shout out to PB. He's helping me with my architecture because hopefully in first part of January I'm gonna take the professional architect certification out of AWS. Take the big boy architect. I've been studying a little bit for it. So when you take the professional architect, their scenarios be like 4 different services. It's kind of like what PB's talking about. So I've been kind of touching on that a little bit to see if I was getting ready. A lot of times when I'm doing a lower cert, I'll take a couple practice tests for my higher cert, right? To make sure, once you get decent at that, the lower certs makes it a little easier. Let's see what PB got for me. Okay. So because the NLB set up for right 2 IP address, I can do an S failure between the two using. Yep, 100%. Because realistically, if you probably doing them in one region, you could split that up in 2 different regions and let the ALB, right? You could do failover, or you could do let me think of it. DNS is called I gotta think of the name of it. If your user's closer to that region, the DNS send you to the URL that's closer to that region. So if you're in the United States going to it, or you can have some in Asia, the DNS will route which one ever is closest to you, right? Now that's gonna be more money because you're gonna have a ton of more infrastructure, but you could actually have it the user whichever region you're closer to. DNS will uh, send you to the closest region, right? So that's part of that too, PB. So let's get on the Amazon EventBridge. Shout out again. I was chopping it up with Intentional Millionaire. We was chopping up a little bit about real estate. Yeah, I was gonna send CL something. I was surprised. Meet Kevin was like, he made $2 million. He was making $5,000 a day doing YouTube. He don't even do real estate anymore. He make his money on YouTube. I was like, man, he's making $3,000 to $5,000 a day. I think he's got 3 million subscribers. So, oh no, keep doing that, PB. I like that, man. Don't shut that up, man. I like that. So, but yeah, so now that's helping me out, man. I've been studying, man. Sometimes you got to put what you studying into real life scenario, but we might look at that at the end, PB. That region, but yeah, if you Google that, it'll show you. If you do Route 53 DNS, you can port GoDaddy on there. And two, if you got two IP addresses, you can put a health check between your DNS, figure out which one it should go to. And two, if it fails, you can actually bring up a warning page. So let's get an EventBridge. It for me is super similar to SNS. They're super similar. They have a lot of the same function. I probably would use SNS, Pub, and subscribe before I use EventBridge, and we'll get into the difference of it. But AWS EventBridge is a real-time changing the system data or environment. This change can either be in your application or in an AWS service or a SaaS partner. The event source is used to ingest events from a SaaS, which is a software as a service partner, AWS service, or your own application. Right, so you can pub and sub to a SaaS offering. If you're using ServiceNow, I'm trying to think of some bigger ones. You can use ServiceNow. You can hook that up to your AWS and feed it tickets or get tickets back. Right, that's a third-party SaaS app. Right, that's super hot. So this kind of is, see, right? We customs, we got the AWS services and the SaaS apps, right? So to be honest, and we're gonna get to that more in this. If I'm doing AWS, I'm using SNS, right? If I'm using a custom app or a SaaS app, I'm using EventBridge. We're gonna touch a couple of these, and once again, we're gonna dig down deeper, right? So when you publish from a SaaS app or your custom app, right? It's just an event. You got a schema, a registry, and a schema discovery. So what's a schema? The schema is basically a file layout or a dictionary saying we validate that this how the schema is going to be used. So when you consume your app, you understand that in this XML field, this is going to be this. Or on the EventBrite, the first record is going to be this, right? So you know what you're reading. And the cool thing is it can help you discover stuff. So if you're internally and you working, right, your company could just publish schemas, and you could use EventBridge to discover, okay, this is a schema my company has. This other departments publish this in our company, and we can use it for something on our team. And that's the cool thing about it, right? You can separate their development for your development. And that's one cool thing about using pub and sub event bridges and queues. Right, because in the old days, I'd be like, okay, I need you to specifically change this item so I know where this item is at. Now I'll be like, here's the schema. You can pull what you want to pull, right? Or you have your data dictionaries and your items, right? You don't have to wait on me as our team, right, to make that. And at the top, you can have rules. Then you can have content filtering, right? Then the consumers of that could be lambdas, kinesis, API, destinations. We're going to get each one of those, right? So your SaaS app could publish tickets on there, and you could read those tickets with different types of AWS services, right, to use that, right? Oh, no problem. So it's a little off topic. Big bro, what school did you teach at? I used to teach at Ivy Tech. It's real big in Indiana in the Midwest. I think they had a few local local satellite things in Chicago, but they're mostly in Indianapolis. They had, I want to say, oh my God, 15 satellite offices in Indiana. They had 30,000 students. Super popular. I'm super big on community college. It was a 2-year degree. I used to teach intro to cybersecurity, forensics, advanced forensics. I was going to start teaching AWS, and I taught business law. I have an MBA degree, so that's what I used to talk. Not off topic. So yeah, I taught there for 10 years. Then I don't let students tell me what to do. So me and the university kind of got a little ish. Somebody complained on me. So I was like, dude, I do this for dinner money. I could go do something. And two, to be honest, that freed me up to start on my AWS journey, right? So in the end, I think it was for the best. I don't think you should do anything longer than 10 years, right? I think that's way too long. I was kind of sleepwalking and doing it in my sleep too. I'm hoping to start bringing some of those classes to YouTube and start teaching on them. I got a playlist on introduction to cybersecurity. I got one on forensics, and I got one on I need to look. So go check out my channel. I got a couple playlists on there, especially if you're trying to get your Security Plus. Mine is on a 500 series. I really need to upgrade that to the 600 series. So go check it out. Is the schema JSON? Yep, it could be three things. It could be JSON, YAML, and they have their own proprietary thing, JM. So there's 3 file formats for that. But yeah, and 2 is really you could do custom, right? You could do a custom file format, and you just the other side would need to know how to read it. It's just like easy if you do JSON or YAML, right? Because those are standards. But you can do your own custom. That's one part of EventBridge where you really couldn't do custom in SNS Pub and stuff. In EventBridge, you could do custom stuff. That's one of the benefits of probably the only reason I would use it over Pub Sub. Once again, here's this is straight out of the AWS. So of a consumer, you can do AWS service, custom apps, SaaS apps, microservice, event sources, ingest events from apps, SaaS, microservice. Once again, you got your event source. We just looked at your schema discovery, default bus. You could do a custom event bus. Like JM said, I could do a custom data elements if I want. The cool thing that you can do in SNS, you can actually replay stuff. So if you get an error, you can actually replay that file format and run it through. In SNS, you would actually have to go get it, manually drop it in, right? Make sure if you have duplicate records that will handle it. You can just replay it on EventBridge, and it handles a lot of that infrastructure for you, right? Then once again, on the binding part and the consumer part, rules set up to filter and send events to certain targets. Once again, you got your Lambda. You can send it to SNS, AWS service targets, API destinations, and targets. Because sometimes you might want to send it to a custom API. Like you got the ticket, you did something. Say you had a security vulnerability, you wanted to make it a ticket for a certain team to work. You can automate that. Okay, I got this vulnerability on the Oracle database. The vulnerability is X. I can actually send out and have the program send to a SaaS app on this side. Create a ServiceNow ticket. Call it a custom SaaS app. And here's the like they said, it's schema discovery and registry. So I know the data elements. Create me a ServiceNow ticket, right? I can automate all that, right? And that's really where you want to get. Compliance is code, infrastructure is code, and security, right, as code, right? So that's really where you want to get. So like, what is an event bus? An event bus is a pipeline that receives events. We just saw that. Rules associated with the event is evaluated as they arrive. Each rule is checked whether the event matches their rules, right? So on that one event bus, I can have 4 or 5 different rules that ascend. One rule will go to Lambda. One rule would go to AWS Security Hub. Another rule would, call a Lambda, would call a API gateway, right? I could do a web service called an API gateway, right? So depending on what rule it is, I can start initiating different stuff. Right? Event bus types, default event bus is created by default and receives events from any AWS service. Remember, that's AWS service, right? You can do custom services, right? And for customers, I just keep saying service now. There's a ton of stuff with AWS connectors. Custom event bus receives events for customer applications. You create and must be created manually. Partner event buses receive events from a SaaS partner application. I keep saying service now and must be created manually, right? So let's see what my man Scorpio Retro 32. Oh, let's see. Oh, we just looked at that. I agree, bro. I just turned 42 on the 9th. I've been in medical since 2007. I did a session with the Ray looking at transitioning over to sales engineering. I want to do cybersecurity. Oh, that's cool. Usually once you talk to Mr. Wade, he's going to send you to me. And once you get with Mr. Wade and he gets he's going to send you to me. We work together. And anybody Mr. Wade sends to me, I put him in the front of the line, Retro. So once you get comfortable with sales engineering, anytime you want to chop it up, Mr. Wade, he kind of makes you things to work on, kind of agenda to do. Then he usually sends them to me for cybersecurity, right? And I gives him my 2 cents, right? But he gives you the master plan. I probably agree, call Mr. Wade. I need some career development myself, man. Definitely a good guy, man. Any pointers on search I should get to make myself a better candidate? Yeah. What are you trying to do? Are you still trying to do the sales first before you get into cybersecurity? The crazy thing is, I help sales engineers all the time. I'm mad. I'm gonna start asking a percentage because shout out to CL. He'll tell you anytime a sales engineer comes to me. I work for big state clients. I work for federal clients. I work for DOD. I used to work for the state of Indiana. You got to show me your security checks as a sales engineer. So you need to bring your security guy because you said you were in health for a minute, right? Medical. I need to see your HIPAA documentation, right? So a lot of times sales and security works together because if you come in to bring a product into any of the agencies or big companies I work to, I'm gonna run you through that security ringer, Scorpio, right? So especially now when everybody gets hacked. So those two actually work together. So the EventBridge also interacts with the APIs and identify potential errors. Yep, I think the API really just puts it on the bus. Then when you usually on the other side of the bus, when you try to run it in Lambda or any other functions, what the API bus they're going to show you is part of the schema registry, and the API bus is going to use the schema registry to validate that your YAML is correct or your XML is correct. So if that's not correct, JM, the EventBridge will throw an error, right? If I say XML in this column is supposed to be $1 and you got somebody's name, right? I know that's not a number. The schema will throw an error in the bus to go, this is invalidated schema, right? So the event bus is going to definitely validate from a schema part. And we're going to get into that. It's going to touch into that a little bit. So what rules are we talking about? Rules are matching incoming events and sending them to targets for processing. A single rule can send an event to multiple targets. We saw that. You can run them in parallel. Rules are based either on the event pattern or the schedule. An event pattern defines the event structure and the fields the rules should match. Rules are based on schedule performed on action at regular intervals, right? So a lot of times, like I say, if you put something in a database and they're going to show DynamoDB, when you put it in the database, it's going to send it on the EventBridge. Or I could just say, every morning at 6 a.m., run these security checks, right? I could put that in EventBridge. Run that in a security hub, right? And send that to Nexus, right? Or get a Nexus scan, right? And read that in, right? I could have that run every day at 6 a.m., right? So there's a couple ways to do that. So I won't be one to I'm techie, so I want to be one to demo the software or to the company. No, that's cool. Sales engineer. I've seen them for sales engineers for cybersecurity companies. It used to piss me off. I'd probably see how I want to do something. I hate when I get sales calls, man. But no, that's true. Usually what happens is I usually and I'm gonna have on there. I used to talk to sales engineers from Oracle. I got a sales engineer coming on from Salesforce, right? So we're going to talk about, like you said, talking about sales, then the security part of that. Because a lot of times when you sell to a state government, we got to be HIPAA, FedRAMP. I used to do DOD with FISMA. So which one of those compliance, I need to make sure your software can be compliant with those government agencies, so the agency I work for won't get in trouble, right? So you got to make sure your software is at the same security level as we at, right? If you lower, you could get us hacked. It's cool if you're higher, but you at least got to be at the same level. So that's kind of where your sales engineer and your security team works together, right? So I used to be pounding their sales team. So I got a couple guys coming on. They're sales guys, but they're super technical, right? They came from I always call it the digital mud. Then they got into sales because shout out to Scorpio and Black Heights. That's where the money at, man. So when they be getting part of, 3% part of a $3 million sale, I'd be like, oh my God. So right. I've been toying with maybe I need to get in sales. So let's we talk to Ben. You got your event producer. Once again, you can put it on a DynamoDB or whatever event goes on the bridge. The bridge gonna say with this rule, we're gonna send it to Lambda, Kinesis, or the SNS, right? Which could be an email or a telephone push right at the bottom. All good, all good. But yeah, check out Mr. Wade. He gonna get you set up. Like I said, I think I'm gonna get in his Patreon. I need access to Mr. Nix. He's got 42 certifications, so I need to be picking his brain on some AWS stuff. So what's a target? A target is a resource or endpoint that the EventBridge sends an event to when the event matches the events predefined for a rule. The rule processes the event data and sends it to the pertinent information to the target. To deliver event data to a target, EventBridge needs permission to access the target. You can define up to 5 targets. And I don't want to jump. So SNS is the same, right? We're gonna put that on a consumer part of that target, right? You get up to 5 targets, and basically, they're gonna get it in the IAM. You give a role to that event. It says this event bridge can insert data into a Lambda. It can insert data into DynamoDB, which is a database, right? So good thing is you just can't do it, right? Somebody's got to give you permission to do it, right? You all good, Scorpio? You all good, man. We all here learning. It's all good. I can multitask, man. I taught for 10 years, so you're not hurting anything. Same to PB, man. I can multitask. I've been doing this for a long time, man. So that's one thing helped me on YouTube. Like I said, we were teaching remotely anyway, so I'm always multitasking. So now you all good, Scorpio, man. I'm trying to give out a little yay, man. I tell people I'll be 55 next month, man. I ain't got much time left, Scorpio. You better get it. You better get these gems while you can get them, man. Let's see. So there we go. There's our targets, right? There's our event sources. I always like call it pub subscriber. On the event, they call it in the EventBridge. We got the event sources and the event targets, right? So we got the AWS source. We got custom events we could do inside our program, right? Then we got the SaaS, right? If I'm using EventBridge, it's probably because I'm using a custom SaaS application. Like right now, once again, I would use the SNS pub sub straight out of the AWS. But if I was using a SaaS service, once again, I keep saying service now. We put the ticket in service now, it can put it on the SaaS event bus. Then we can say, okay, if it's a database ticket, send it to Lambda. If we're doing this kind of ticket, send it through a step function. This type of ticket could call an API gateway, right? And these rules coming from the SaaS application would tell, once again, which targets we would use, right? So that's what that, what is. And once again, if I'm using the EventBridge out of all the services, I'm using it because I'm doing a SaaS app or I'm trying to do something custom event. Right? If I'm doing AWS service to AWS service, I'm straight SNS, right? So let's look. We can do advanced rule filtering. Rules allow different application components to look for and process events they're interested in. A rule can customize event before it's sent to the target by passing along certain parts by overriding it with a constant. You can also have multiple rules that match on the same event. So different microservice or application can choose to match the events based on specific filters. Right. So I could send one event to multiple, targets, or I can send it to one target. Once again, I'm using that filter. We talked about that in SNS. This event goes to this specific target in the back end, right? So, and content based, meaning, right, once in the contents, we can send it to certain things, right? EventBridge support declarative content filtering, which content filtering, you can write complex events that only match events under very specific conditions. You can prefix matching, anything but matching, numeric matching. Once again, we could do IP addressing. So I would use this if I'm doing some special security and we're talking about IPs. I probably use EventBridge. Existing matching, complex example with multi-matching, right? So you can do ands in these events, right? Or auras, right? Complex. My thing is if you're getting that complicated, I probably would figure out what's going on with my microservice, right? I'm trying to get my microservice is super easy. So let's see what's going on. Shout out to Chuck Johnson joining us. I mean, great information I found out about you, the Mr. Wade. I appreciate it. Yep. I was calling, he called me big bro, but he make the big money. So shout out to Black Heights. I appreciate that. My man, 100 grand, you already know, trying to learn why I still can't before I lose the ability to pick up and execute. Yeah, that's my only thing. And I think everybody's learning. I think everybody can do it. But real world, real facts is the older I get, sometimes PBO don't memorize like it used to. That's what my mom used to say. Girl ain't like what she used to. My mom passed away at 92. I'm studying hard, I'm grinding hard, but some of those concepts don't stick. I'm thinking, man, I was 23, man, I could chew that up, memorize it, and spit it out. Now I'll be like, oh, I need to listen to that a couple more times, right? So the older you get too is, like, once again, I'm single, don't nobody want me, so it ain't like I got a wife and kids. My grandkids come through every now and then, so it's solo me. So when you got a family and, shout out to y'all young players out there, y'all got women and side chicks and all that. I ain't got that much time left. So shout out to y'all. So when you get a little older, you got to get it while you can get it, man. So I appreciate your work. Appreciate you. Let's see. This is my man right here, Calvin Henderson. Always keeping me in check, making sure I don't mess up. But now that's my man right here. Sometimes PBO be just going, man. He be double checking me, make sure I'm gonna have me something be prepared to beat the Redis. They're going for first. I know, man. My poor coach. Shout out to Calvin Henderson. He know I'm a Colts fan, and we just been sucking, man. Ever since Peyton Manning and my man retired early, we had Andrew Luck for 10 years though, man. So we went back to back after that, man. We've been sucking, man. So I be knowing how Cleveland and the Jets feel now, man. PBO be sad some days. So. Okay, shout out to Tamika Bullock. Thanks I appreciate you. Facts for my final heart now ever been, yeah. Yeah, that's true, but that's life. The cool thing though that helps me out since I've been in IT, a lot of the concepts I pick up in AWS, they're not new. That's just how they're new. Like I've been doing DevOps, but I was doing it manually, right? EC2, I've been doing VMware for a decade in Oracle, right? It's just now you're doing it in the cloud, and how does AWS want you to do it? But it's still hard to pick up sometimes. So it's not that bad to say, the Browns and the Steelers. But yeah, shout out. Uh-oh, Chuck right there with me. Chuck right there. I'm 52, treasures of tech sales now. You got the wisdom, keep sharing. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's why I came. Shout out to Black Heights. I always tell them, shout out. I'm definitely going to be in this Patreon, so you're going to see me in there. Now, that's it. Tech sales is it, man. Like I said, I always keep thinking I'm going to put my feet, touch my toe in this sales, man. And I'm sure Black Heights talk about you, man. Sometimes that sales game be brutal, man. Even though I'm 5'7", man, I hate getting told no a lot. So let's talk about the Schema Registry. I think JL was talking about this. It's a container of schemas. The EventBridge Schema Registry stores event schema in a registry that other developers can easily search and access. You don't have to find the events in their structure manually, right? So with the events, you can create a custom registry to organize the schemas you create, upload, message transformation. You can transform targets inputs in specific use cases. You might want to customize the text in the event field before passing it to them to a target so that the fields provide a more meaningful information to process them further, right? So if I'm actually using EventBridge, what I would do is I'm gonna put something on it that says it came from this source on this bus, right, to this target. Why? Because if I needed to debug that, I want that information in the event, so I don't have to manually go back and try to replay and figure it out. So if I'm gonna put that, if I'm gonna use EventBridge, especially from a SaaS app that I don't control, I'm definitely putting this came from ServiceNow. This is the queue, and this is the target it should be going to. Right. So now when I need to debug and I look at that message, I'll be like, oh, it went to the wrong target, right? I don't have a filter set up, or why is this particular source sending to this target, right? I have something set up in my bus. So I'm for that point for message transformation. Um, I don't think you said in there. You might want to add custom text fields, right, and targets to for meaningful information, right? So I'm always going to put, especially when I first put it out, I'm definitely going to put, I call them debug messages or just some trait stuff in there. So, because you got to remember, I work for big clients, so I can have a million messages, right? So if I'm trying to debug that, having that, okay, came from this source to this destination on this bus, right? That's going to make my debugging super easy, right? I made a lot of mistakes in this game, so I know I need a little debug information in there, right? So let's see, PB. Can you remember the days of server rooms full of servers? I still have that now. One of my clients is a state client. They still have a big server room with most of their stuff on it. They're just now actually going to the cloud, right? So I still see a ton of server rooms, but I do remember it. I remember when it used to be cold in the server room, right? Because you would deal in mainframes and they had those tubes in there. Those tubes used to get hot. I'm so old. I remember guys used to put their lunch in the mainframe because it was warm, right? It'd be like 70 degrees in there. You had a temperature in the room at like 40 trying to cool it down. So now I still see a lot of, especially when you deal a lot of state clients, PB, they still got their own data centers. They just really now getting to the cloud. So I still see a ton of racks. Like I said, especially my state clients, ton of racks. Might be a little still rock solid, man. We're gonna work hard, Calvin. We definitely gonna work hard. The seniors gonna work hard, man. A little slower, but we rock solid facts. So now PBO, I still see a ton of racks, man. Like I said, I was doing an assessment probably a couple months ago, 2-3 months ago. So yeah, you will see servers all the time, right? So once again, we were looking at the registry. We got our event source. We got our schema there, structure of the events, what happened, like we just talked about, where did the event come from with the time step, schema registry, the repository of schemas, search for and track schema. Right. So if you work for a big company, you might go in there and says, where is our service tickets coming from and what informations are on there. Right. So before you contact the team, there might be a schema in a registry that has all the information you need. And usually in the schema registry, they have a dictionary of all the items that's referenced in the registry, right? So a lot of times you don't even need to talk to the team. You're like, this is my registry. This is how I need to subscribe to it. And this is when the type of information they're putting on it. A lot of times when they're sending that information. Because remember, you could be on a schedule or event. It could be on a schedule saying, you're sending all these at 6 a.m. in the morning, right? We're going to read through it. We'll set them all in the morning, right? So that registry, the schema, and you find all the information in the registry. So we talked about custom events from your own applications to the event bus. Other applications can receive events through any supported AWS targets. This is the one I really like, archive and replay events. You can create an archive event so that you can easily replay or reprocess them at a later time. The feature enables developers to debug their applications quickly and steal them from hydrating targets with historical events and recover from errors. For example, you might want to replay events to recover from errors or to validate new functionality in your app, right? So a lot of times, if you've been in the game this long, you always know something's going to happen where you're going to need to refeed or rehydrate at least a day's or a month's worth of messages. How would you do that, right? AWS EventBridge, you could just replay it and repopulate it. Maybe the machine, the database, or the app on the other side was misreading them and they need you to resend them, how would you know what to resend and how would you resend them? It's not uncommon to ask for it, which pisses me off. But we always, can you resend those files? Like, no, man, you didn't save them. You didn't, because when people send us files, we archive them. So if we need to send them, we got them. A lot of people just don't keep them, don't archive them, then they need you to resend them, right? So as part of your design, you should always say, okay, if I need to resend them or AKA replay them for a month, how would I be able to find that days or from this time to that time, right? I ask people for that stuff and the look on their eyes, they're like, oh my God, we're going to have to write some special code or figure out how to do that. No, that should already be in your app. How do you archive and replay events, right? That should be part of your design. And there they got your bits. See your buckets down here. A lot of times you archive them in your S3 buckets. Then you can replay them into the event, then send them back to the Lambda. Maybe for some reason the Lambda or this team was down or their app didn't save them. They say, oh, we need to resend those apps. I've seen people ask for transactions for a whole year. like, dude, we didn't keep those, right? No. So how do you resend once again transactions on your bus for a whole year or a time frame, right? How would you I hate this word, reconstitute those transactions to resend them? I say reconstitute because sometimes you got to run programs to recreate them and all that. Where most anything I do, because I've been doing this for long, if I'm sending you stuff, I'm having archived somewhere so I can just replay it or resend it to you. Because trying to rerun those apps, especially if they're time sensitive, that could be a hot mess. But so the replay for me is huge, right? So I actually might use SNS, put them in an S3 bucket, and just use the replay event in AWS EventBridge. Just if I need to resend resend those transactions to another team or another application, I might just have AWS EventBridge set up aside from SNS because that's not a built-in feature from SNS. Just have EventBridge do the replay, right, of those transactions. We talked about that SaaS app integration. EventBridge natively integrates with SaaS applications for many providers, including Datadog, PagerDuty, Sugar CRM, Zendesk, and many more. Your applications can take actions based on the event that the SaaS application generates, right? And that's what I would really use EventBridge for if I'm a user. It's got to be because of SaaS app. Like I said, SNS for me is much easier. Their integrations to me seems a little less hassle to figure out. So unless I'm doing SaaS, once again, I'm gonna use SNS, Pub, and Sub, right? If I want to decouple those. Pub and Sub and put them on the queue if I need to process them later. API destinations. With the new API destination, EventBridge can now integrate with services using AWS REST API calls. We use microservice, everybody doing REST calls, right? EventBridge enables developers to send events back to your own application on premise or back to a software SaaS application with the ability to control your throughput and authentication, right? What's your user name and password? Are you using keys? Are you using MFA, right? When I send that destination, how do I know you're the person that's supposed to send it to me, right? That's that authentication piece. It can help decouple applications and produce more extensible, maintainable architectures. Once again, that's your third party. That's putting it on the SaaS event bus. Once again, that's EventBridge with the rules. This could be Kinesis. This could be Lambda. This could be another SaaS. Once again, put in Kinesis. It puts it in the S3 bucket. Then Amazon QuickSight can put up a dashboard, right, and put your metrics on it, depending on what it is, right? So that's the cool thing is once you get an EventBridge, it's gonna put an AWS service. Then you can use the base standard AWS services to to make that work, right? So. Once again, this is coming from an event. You can do the default event bus. You can do the SaaS bus, right, which is software as a service. Once again, Zendesk, Pager, Slack. Everybody's doing Slack or What's the other one? I gotta look it up. I am so tired. I'm dragging today. But yeah, so those are some of the third party. Right. So Slack is huge. Once again, put what you in the chat. Yeah, Discord. That's what I mean. You can actually send it to a Discord API. Everybody's on Discord. I'm on like 5 Discords. I should remember. So you got the event. You can put it in AWS Target. You can have the event put it in somebody's Discord, right? I'm in B2B's Discord. I'm in Kev Tech's Discord. I'm in 5 Discord. So you got an event once again, put in an API destination. One of those could be Slack or Discords, right? Scheduling events, we talked about that. You can set up a schedule using the popular Unix cron syntax. You can schedule events generated at periodic time, supports targets. One of those targets, of course, is Lambda or SNS. All right. So when you schedule your EventBridge, you can send it to one of those targets and make that happen. Many built-in event and source targets. EventBridge is directly integrated with over 130 events, sources, and over 35 targets. So once again, EventBridge is set up to do those integration. Once again, over 130 event sources and over 35 targets. Right. Some of the basic targets we've seen: Lambda, SQS, SNS, step functions, right? Kinesis, many more. I'm trying to think, could I name 35 AWS services, right? So, and that's cloud formation, which is my man was talking about the up there. I'm scrolling up. DNS. So yeah, that's their infrastructure as a service. I think he said, was it Ansible? I can't remember, but yeah, cloud formation. You can build your EventBridge rules. Once again, rate 5 hours. So when the EventBridge rules, if it sees a rate that's 5 hours, it's going to send a Lambda function. This, I think that's the 13th day. Anytime it's going to run and call a Lambda function, right? So you can set up an event or you can set up a schedule, right? Either one of those. EventBridge simplifies the process of building an event-driven architecture. Applications of microservice can publish events to the bus without the awareness of the subscribers. An application of microservice can subscribe events without the awareness of the publisher, right? So I put it out there. I'm saying I'm publishing on these buses. Because you saying I need that information as a publisher. I don't care, right? You can get it, right? So that's the beauty of it. So the only thing you got to worry about on a publisher, they're pretty good about if I change something in the schema, right, in the registry, or if I change some of the data formats, right, then you subscriber, most times they don't change it. They just usually add to the bottom of it, right? So then you don't, the only thing changes, if you want the new information, you have to get it. But the old information at the top very rarely changes, right? So a lot of times they think when you do that, you get the speed of your team, right? EventBridge accelerates modernization and reorchestrating your application with decoupled service and application. With the EventBridge, there's no need for heavy coordination between event producers or consumers or services. This decoupling allows teams to work independently, leading to faster development and improved agility, right? So, shout out to CL. Shout out to BSteady. I appreciate that. Shout out to CL. He helped me get the PBO sign. We used to work together. So shout out to him. He was great influence in getting the PBO sign. And my Yeti mic is fabulous. So we worked together and I left a long client. He was there. So shout out to him. Telling him I need the PBO sign. So he helped me get the PBO sign. AD up, we just talked about that. Event monitoring, auditing. You can monitor and audit your AWS environment, response to operational changes in real time to prevent infrastructure vulnerabilities and take corrective action. You simply write rules to indicate the AWS event your interest is and what automated actions to take when the rule matches. For example, you can set a rule to invoke an AWS Lambda function to remediate an issue and notify SNS to alert an operator. right? So if somebody takes off an encryption and we need that encryption on there, right? I could say have EventBridge said, oh, if encryption is not on this database, have the Lambda function, right? I got the Lambda function, put it back on, or just notify me SNS topic, right? Could be a email, a text message, or actually a push to a mobile phone coming from an SNS topic. So I think I put one in there. And this is one coming from coming from us, a security group. Yeah, the mics are nice. Mics can be. Oh yeah, I was talking for a whole lot of times with it, and I was on mute, Calvin. I'm still working on my Yeti mic. The Yeti mic got a lot of stuff with it. You are correct. But like we talked about, this is a quick security thing. Security Hub put an event into the EventBridge to filter specific finding. That finding calls Lambda function to add a security event finding to a DynamoDB. The DynamoDB stored the security finding. Then the Lambda function checked the security hub to make sure the resources match what was in the security hub, right? That's something you could do from a security perspective, right? So once again, you have security hub. You could have a detective go out or Macy go out and find a finding. You said that finding is an event in security hub, calls a Lambda function, stores that in DynamoDB, so we can go back and query it later. And also, I could actually have that Lambda function remediate whatever that issue is, right? I can have that be a PHP function with Bodo, and Bodo, you could call all the EC2 commands. I could shut it down. I could patch it. I could make it grab a KMS encryption key to encrypt that the database, or I could encrypt the EC2 data storage. I can make sure they're encrypted, or if I'm using EFS, I can make sure that's encrypted, right? And force it to encrypt with a Lambda function. So you can automate a lot of those things. So let's see. Yep. Yeah, the Yeti, man. I'm finally getting the hang of it. If it's not enabled to stop our transactions. Yeah, you could do that, Calvin. I never, most times I don't stop business transactions, but yeah, you could do that because inside we could talk about that inside Security Hub. There's a I actually just did a lab on that. Yeah, you could do it with AWS config. You could tell it to do NIST 800-53 checks, and in that is called conformance pack. If that check is not visibly on, you can actually force it to get remediated as part of that Lambda function. Whatever was, if it was an EventBridge or SNS, I can actually shut that service off, right, until that gets remediated, or until the security teams gives it a manual reply to start taking transactions. So yeah, you could do that. Look at AWS config, and we're gonna start doing some of those lives. Yeah, it's called conformance packs. They go through all those checks and they can force remediate them. Most of the time, they usually just send an SNS message though. But now you can force remediate them. And as part of that is I could shut down the EventBridge, right? And it wouldn't shut back up until a security team person with those privileges started back up. The cool thing is when you shut down EventBridge and SNS, you won't lose those transactions. Those transactions will stack up in the bus. Then when you cut it back on, those transactions will move to the target, but you wouldn't lose anything. Probably if you did it right, Calvin, you wouldn't lose anything. You would just shut down the bus, and all those transactions would stack up in the bus and just get saved to the disk. We talked about that. Customized SaaS. Once again, artificial intelligence and machine learning. You can enrich your events in your SaaS application, of course, using artificial intelligence, machine learning, gaining valuable insights. You can load your data from Shopify to EventBridge to trigger a workflow to use an AI service such as Amazon Comprehend for images tagging in a new retail product. All right, so AWS has a ton of AI machine learning stuff. So once again, as those events come, you can cut on those resources to go in there and give you insight, right? One of those is machine learning, looking at your logs, right, to figure out if it thinks you've been hacked or if it thinks you have something misconfigured, right? They have machine learning to look through those logs and give you that feedback, right? And I think this is a one. Yep, it's the data when the S3 bucket. Once again, data events, all that stuff got in the cloud trail, which is your logging. The putting in a log, actually put it on the EventBridge, and SageMaker is their AI machine modeling. Shout out to Engineering Cannabis, right? I was sending the Sage Maker model to Engineering Cannabis, then he would do the AI machine learning piece of that. I think being nice to people, failing security by saving their transactions. That's true, but a lot of times I've been yelled at. They're like, we need to make this money. We worry about the security later, right? So it's both sides of that, Calvin. You correct, but I seen people like, hey, we need this transaction to go. We'll worry about the security later. Facts, right? Because sometimes there's I work in state government, so there's government regulations or government laws that you have to do something in 2 or 3 days, or the citizens get a refund, or if this person doesn't get this at a certain time, they can actually sue the state, or once again, they have to pay penalties or interest. So a lot of stuff they wanted to go. We worry about it later. Once again, we talked about the benefits of event-driven architecture, decoupling the source and targets, right? So your two teams can work independently. Theoretically, write less code because a lot of that stuff is built into your event bus, your SNS, your SQS, and doing the registry targets, right? A lot of that validation is done just from the registry, right? Better extensibility, meaning you can add on to it and build to it, and enhancing team collaboration, right? Because if I'm at the top and I just published it, right, they just need to hook on to it. I don't have to talk to them. I don't have to collaborate them. I'm putting the data on the bus. Come and get it, right? So they believe that it helps to enhance the team's collaboration. I read a new article where it said Amazon was the first company to globally lose $1 trillion. I believe that. Because you got to remember they were building those data warehouses forever, man. They were size of 3 football teams, right? So a lot of times that loss, right, is a paper loss, right? It's not they actually lose money, right? So, but no, I can see that Amazon, because everything they do is just so big. This is how I work though, cheaper to pay to find and to do the right thing. Facts, you already know that, right? And a lot of times too, the sad part about it is a lot of that stuff is built into their company, right? They already talked to their legal staff. What was it? What was that car when you hit the back of it? Pinto. People don't remember the 80s. Google that. The Pinto, they knew if you hit in the back a certain way, it was gonna explode. They knew 6 people were gonna die, 300 people were gonna get injured, 400 or 500 people were gonna get burnt. That was gonna cost them $500 million. They were gonna make $4 billion. They said, make the car, right? So throughout history, look at Pinto. I might do a video on that. So a lot of times people, that's in people's budget, right? And people don't realize, I used to work for a Fortune 500 insurance company. People calculate death all the time. That's why they know how much your premiums are. So when we talk about autonomous cars, that's why autonomous car insurance is going to be cheaper than regular insurance. They can calculate what that's going to be like, right? Because the car is never going to speed up. The car is always going to take its time. It's never going to be in a rush. So it can pretty much calculate this is what's going to happen, right? How many deletions, right? So that insurance is going to be a lot cheaper than regular people's insurance. So the EventBridge is relatively new compared to SQS and SNS. It's very similar. One, like you said, the SNS, it's got a ton of added features. It came out in 2019. Provides great integration, once again, with the third-party SaaS app. That's really what I would use it for, the third-party SaaS app, or I would probably use SNS. Can transform as events before sending them. Event filters routing based on the message. It has no encryption at rest with the KMS key, which is encryption for AWS. As a security guy, that one kind of stuck out. That's why I highlight. I'm like, that's not good. We need to get encryption at rest. Message order is not maintained. That's the same thing with SQS. Has a Schema Registry and discovery feature. Message archiving is available. Can replay events. But once again, it has encryption at rest built in. When I looked it up, it's just not using the standard AMS KMS keys that you can control. These are Amazon keys they're control. So you get 256-bit. You get AES, which is cool. 256. I wish it was at least 512, but I'm cool with 256. It's under AWS own key. I like it under customers' keys because depending on the compliance, I might need to rotate it every 60 days. I don't think I could rotate AWS own key because I don't own it, right? I think FISMA, DOD, HIPAA, and this, you got to rotate your encryption keys every year. So that's why I highlighted for me, right? I'll probably be doing some assessments on it. So I need to know that. Encryption at transit, pass between event TLS, which it should be. Hopefully it's 1.2 or higher. I didn't dig into it yet. Compliance validation. When I looked at, I had third-party assessments on SOC, PCI, FedRAMP, HIPAA, multiple compliance services. So you could use it with federal work. So, which is cool. There actually is a compliance dashboard. So I do a lot of FedRAMP work, NIST work. So it needs to be FedRAMP moderate. So that's third one down. It's in the East and West data centers and in the government cloud. It passed FedRAMP assessment. So that's cool. That lets me know you can use it once again for government work. I review government client work. So I need to know that for my job. So once again, that's what I had. Let's go back to the top. So that's it. Once again, I would do EventBridge services for SaaS if I was doing it. More at the top. If not, I probably would use more SNS. I think it had a lot of great features. It seemed like it was a lot more complicated. So I'm trying to keep it simple right now. So I will probably use the SNS service for that. On PBI's agree, look up what we were discussing. If you use AWS DNS network. So once again, I dropped the link. You drop any questions? I was just looking up. PB was talking, so I dropped this link. Resolve DNS names to a network load balancer. This is across zones. So you got your client, you got your network load balancer. So it's going between. That's all in the same region. You 1A, 1B, and 1C. So this is coming through one, right? You got your NLB. They doing containers on the back end. I'm more of an EC2 guy. So yeah, you could do different. That's resource manager. So yeah, I was looking that up for DNS. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope everybody is out there studying. Time waits for no man. All right, let's get it. So once again, AWS EventBridge. I just want to, like I said, doing videos on just a lot of the services that are used a lot or could be used a lot. The next part of that, once again, with that DevOps, just start putting those services together like this. How would you do an event bus and make your target source using a Lambda, a queue, or container? Shout out to Docker, right? ECS, right? Or EKS, right? Kubernetes. Shout out to Women in Linux. They're real big on Kubernetes. I'm CS. I'm more Docker, right? Because as an ex-Java guy, you put Docker. Shout out to Before the Billions. Go check him out. Go check out his Black Men in Tech. Trying to get him to 1,000. I'm sure we're gonna collab. I'm gonna get together with him. I've been saying this forever. I've been so busy. Gonna do a data lake. I used to do data warehousing, right, which is part of the data, like the data engineering, kind of interview him and see what it's like in the real world. Like I said, I was doing that in in the 2000s. I was doing big data warehousing. Right, I had to do 1 billion records in 6 hours at night. Back then, that was a lot of records. Now, 1 billion, you can spin up 4 or 5. You can spin up 100 EC2s and knock that out. So, thanks for the info. Since we are close, man. All right, that's cool. Most definitely, I'm gonna be traveling around, so I'll definitely reach out to you because I'm gonna start going to Chicago a lot. I'm gonna start going to probably Louisville, Kentucky, kind of everything in the Midwest. Shut out. I'll probably pull up on before the billions. You know, everybody want to go to Atlanta, man. Atlanta kind of dangerous though now. When I look on TV, man, Atlanta be sound kind of dangerous. How can I monitor my VPC and log everything in one location? Oh, that's easy. If you do a CloudWatch, that's straight off. If you do CloudWatch, CloudWatch, you can tell it to log all your incoming and outgoing traffic off of your VPC, and all the VPCs really is your subnets because you set it up. It'll log all that in CloudWatch. Then you can have CloudWatch send all those logs to one S3 bucket. Then that S3 bucket, you can use a CloudWatch Insight or Athena. You can actually query that and start looking through those logs and start doing forensics and stuff and just kind of looking at it. So yeah, just look at that CloudWatch log. I just did a lab on that. I'm gonna start labbing online a little bit, but yeah, CloudWatch logs of VPC. When you look at your VPC, when you build it, if you look on there, it says send CloudWatch logs. So it's actually in your VPC when you build it. Let's see if I think, do I have, let's see if I have. PB, here it goes. Let me make that a little bigger. So my VPC, here's my VPC. I got a PBO VPC because I was labbing earlier. Then in your VPC, when you do your VPC, you just highlight it, PBO VPC. Right there, you say create flow logs. It tells you want to take, you just want to traffic that was accepted or rejected or all. You can do 10 minutes or 1 minute. You can send it to CloudWatch log. You can send it to your S3 bucket. Kinesis is when you're doing Internet of Things and you're sending a ton of stuff. You got to give yourself an IR role that says you have permission. But 2 is that's your format version, account ID, your interface ID, PB. There it is. So yeah, you just go there and you just all 10 minutes. I was sending the CloudWatch logs. It'll keep 28 days for you for free. Or if you were in the real world, you would take that 28 days and send it to an S3 bucket. Because theoretically, once again, I do government work. You got to keep those logs for 7 years for DOD and IRS. You got to keep logs for 7 years in case you get hacked. Coach already black. Oh, for real? Shout out to us. Shout out to Cal giving me good news. But yeah, PB, that's it. So once again, we go back, go to your VPC, highlight it, go to your down here. You got details, cider, flow logs. Create your flow logs. Then here you probably want to take them all. Unless you got a lot of money, I would do 10 minutes because the logs be built. I would send them to CloudWatch to keep 28 days for you for free. Now, I take that back. You'll get charged, but it's a lot lower because anything after 28 days is going to delete them for you, and you won't have to worry about them. Then 2, you could tag them, if you were at separate VCs. So, but yeah, that's one of the things. Once again, I've been studying. I got a couple AWS certs. So a lot of those for the associate architecture, that's real big. Because if you need to track, if your DNS name or you couldn't get to it, how will you find that information out? I would say 80% of those questions will be, oh, your VPC flow logs, because that's going to show you all your network traffic. So, yeah, I used to do work for the IRS. So if you get hacked, they want you to keep your IRS data. So your systems, you got to keep that data. But the weird thing, I'm like, if I delete the data and I got the logs, I don't have the logs to trace back to the data. So it's kind of weird. So you got to show enough to show that with these logs, I can show if we could get hacked, right? So we've been trying to, that's a lot of data. So we've been struggling with that. So once again, though, PB, that's your flow logs. Once again, I've been logging, trying to get it, put my AWS work in. What do you think about .NET Professor, my bootcamp? Oh, .NET's cool. Microsoft is right there. I think Microsoft's bigger. I did government work where Windows couldn't handle those type of workloads, but now you got 8, 9, 16 cores you could put in there. And Windows is a lot cheaper from a hardware standpoint back then. And it's so a lot of smaller companies used it, right? In the Fed space, we always use Linux and Unix, but when you get out in the commercial world, unless they're big, super big, and even big companies, Windows is just out there. And part of Windows is going to be .NET. So now that's cool. .NET's not a bad thing. .NET's just all the good parts of Java, right? So that's all. When you look at it, and you look at Java, the syntax is super cool. And Java actually stole annotations from .NET and C#. So no, that's a good thing, JM. That's not a bad thing. That was the liveliest hired Jeff Satterwright said. I know, man. How we hired Jeff? I'm still confused about that. I respect him, but man, that is crazy, man. But two is, a lot of time, heck, it's really about your staff, but still, I'm just, I don't know about that. He was talking to good Dan, but I'm like, man, he wasn't assistant. He was coaching high school. Have you set up VPNs in the cloud? Yeah, this is a VPN right here. VPN in the cloud. I did one lab on a VPN. I did this one. That's actually on my agenda to do more. But AWS has a course. They had their built-in VPN. I set up this one. You have a client VPN, so you can hook it right to your subnet. So features. So I did this one. I'm just looking site to site VPN. So I use the AWS built-in VPN client. It was this. It was pretty simple. I was trying to look up, but yeah, that's the one I set up. PBM, is that it? So yeah, I set up the VPN, and really you just spinning up a serverless VPN client inside of your VPC PB. It was pretty simple. I was trying to find out the walkthrough, not the SAML one, but yeah, it was pretty simple. So yeah, I used the client VPN here. The client VPN. It was pretty easy to set up. So there's your VPN connection, create a client VPN. I don't want to do, because you got to, then they give you a VPN endpoint. Tag name, virtual, private, or transit. I did a virtual. And they just set it up for you, and they gave you a VPN endpoint. It was pretty simple. It was relatively cheap. I might do a video on that, but yeah, AWS sets all that stuff up for you. So that's all I did. Clicked a couple buttons and I was rolling. So that's what I did for the VPN. Bills and the Viking, phenomenal ending right now. I'm about to catch the replay on that. They're teaching us how to build a website using React component. That's pretty good. React is super. Everybody's using React or Angular. I was using Angular, but React's right up there, JM. That's super hot. That's good, JM. Understanding some of the backside. Facts, man. Chicago, my spot doing it. Oh, that's straight, man. Straight, man. Be careful out there, man. Chicago be running amok, man. I had a hard time understanding the state. Oh, yeah, that took me a while because when I was doing Java with Spring workflow, yeah, that state is a little different. Check it out to Keep It Techie, man. Shout out to him. He interviewed at the big dog. I need to go check him on a replay. I was trying to make it, but I was running. So go check out my man's channel. He was interviewing the big dog yesterday. I'm trying. I am with you trying to figure it out, Jay. Yeah, that state. Check out I'm trying to think of his name. I'm Citizen Lou. I thought was using that because I know he was doing Java. I think he was using React for the front end. So go check out Citizen Lou. He not doing he does more of the manosphere topics now, but I think he's doing React because I'm helping to do more Angular stuff. Yeah, Keep Techie did Antoine Daniels, so I need to go check that out. I know that was epic. Shout out to Keep It Techie, always doing it big. Yeah, I got a raccoon in my chimney, man. The guy's supposed to come get it out tomorrow. I looked up there with my chimney. I saw these beady eyes looking at me, man. I had to lock up my chimney. I got the glass door, so I tied it up, put a big weight in front of it. I don't want to be sleeping. The raccoon get me tonight. So I talked to the guy. He said all his traps was out. So I looked up there like, oh my God, what's in my chimney? I heard this little scratching. Like, damn, I got a raccoon in my chin. Like, oh my God, I got to get him out of there. So he coming tomorrow with the trap. So now I ain't gonna be able to sleep now. But think the raccoon, my sheet gonna brush me. I'm like, oh my God, the raccoon done got me. You need your chimney. I don't know if I want to barbecue that raccoon. Do you have to stand up every day at your cybersecurity? Oh no, I don't ever stand up. My job is remote too. So I don't stand up, JM. No. We used to do my fault. Before I got my new manager, we didn't do stand-ups, but I hated it. We used to meet every day from 8:30 to 8:45. She got promoted, so the new guy don't want to do them. I'm like, sweet. So now I for one time I do. Every now I do that, JM. If you were running a course of development team as a security guy, I'm trying to get security requirements into your backlog or to your stories. I'll probably come up to your stand-ups, right? And my last job, we talked about doing that, but we never did. But if I worked for a new company and I had security requirements, a la Angular, and I need you to do validation for the OWASP top 10, I need to get those into your stories or get those into your backlog. So I will probably come up to into your standings probably for a couple months, JM, so I can get integrated with the team so they're more comfortable for me, right? The reason I would do that is most people hate security, so I want to kind of become one with the team. I don't want to seem heavy-handed, right? Because I'm gonna need to be heavy-handed sooner or later. So I want to bond with the guys in the stand-up. So when I need a favor or ask them to do something, right, they'll do it. So that's kind of how I would operate. So I don't now, but if I went to a new company once again and we're trying to get security, and I do application security, that was one part of my job, I will definitely come to the stand-up and say, okay, these are our requirements. Do they go on the stories? Do they go on the backlog? How do we get security testing in there, right? You're doing automated tests, right? We're trying to get the continuous delivery, continuous build. A part of that's continuous testing, JM. So how do we do static analysis, dynamic analysis, and all of that will be OWASP top 10. the rest of the security checks and validation, right? So I definitely would come in and try to integrate myself in the team to make that happen, right? And like fired and closed the joint here, bro. The problem is I talked to the guy. He think he got on my roof because there's a branch. He said he slipped in there. He don't think he could climb out. So the only way he can get out is come out through my house. So right now I got these glass doors and kind of like this chain. So you get the chain. So I got that closed and I tied it up with computer wire, RJ45. I got 2 handles. And I put some weights in front of it. So you're gonna put the trap to get him to run into the trap. So every noise I hear at night, I'm gonna be like, the raccoon get me. So Raiders punting against the coast. Okay. Punting against the coast. Okay, let's go, coach. We need a couple wins. Man, I gave up tech. I'm gonna look into gang banging. Shout out to the stick 'em up kid. Nah, hey man, I'm 55, man. It's never too late for tech, man. We got to keep it techie in there. We can get you started in Linux. We got the women in Linux. They doing the bare metal. We got Kev Tech. We can get you in some Security Plus, get you in a help desk. You only got to stand there a little time, get promoted. We got JM. We can get you into programming. Come on, King 38, man. We got a lot of time, man. Like I said, I'm 55, man. I'm trying to get this cloud, man. We just got to go on AWS. I got 10 more years in the game. So we trying to get it going, man. We got something for you. Let's see what PB got for me. I need to set up a code build for a Docker container to run a PHP test. You setting the code build up in AWS or you setting the code build up in Git? Where you setting the build up at, PB? That's what I'm going to be doing next year. That's on my agenda. I said I'm going to start doing containers first quarter of 2023. Man, the last thing you want to do is wake up and see those emails like, what's up? I know, man. Facts, Scorpio. Retro 32. So like I said, I got the weight in front of it. I got the glass doors. So like I said, every now and then I go tap on it and make sure he's nervous. But once again, my man supposed to be bringing the trap tomorrow. Will not wake up. Facts. So, P. Let me see. How would I do that? So you got to go build, but then you got the code because you got to check it in. Then you got to build it. Then you got to deliver it to Docker, right? Because really, Docker is the endpoint. Docker is the release point, right? Because you want to build it in Docker. Right, because you're gonna build in the image, right? You're gonna build your code into an image, then the image is gonna get deployed to Docker, right? But part of your that's kind of throwing me off because I got to get it in Docker before I can test it, right? So I would do the code check-in. I think I did a video. Well, I did a video on the code check-in. Let's see. So we would do the AWS pipeline. That's part of the full pipeline. I'm gonna do PHP. Are you doing the managed Docker container? Or you doing raw Docker, PB? Because inside of Amazon, you got the ECS tutorial. I think that's an Amazon doc. ECS standard deployment to the code pipeline, ECS to code deploy. See, that's your source repository where you would put your YAML for your build. Is that for a class, man? That's a big that's a big thing to do. Let's see, let's see. Facts, man. The raccoon gonna try to get me. OT last 65 seconds. Once I done that, that'll be my full CIC. Oh, yeah, that's big time. Managed container. So that's Let me see. I was reading that. That's the GitHub action. That's the build, continuous build. That's the DevOps I was looking at. That's the roles, build spec, continuous build. Let's code commit. Continuous. It's out there, PB. I was looking at Mastodon. I was looking at that. To be honest, I got to dig into that till you mention it. I think I heard of it, but I never really looked into it. You brought it up on that one stream. Now you said because people mad at Twitter, they go on to Mastodon. It just been they walk up on you. They like getting their facts back. BBN Galvin, I just recently set up a mind. Oh, cool. Maybe you need to get with PB. What did you think of it, PB, of the Mastodon? Like I said, I just been reading a little bit about that. Yeah, I need to check. And like I said, I read a little bit about it. Like I said, Calvin brought it up. Then, like I said, I looked at it because of Twitter. I am tired. Like I said, I hope my man get his traps tomorrow, man. I'd be nervous while I'm sleeping. I'd be nervous. Like I said, I done tied it up with the computer wired and everything now. I don't think it's enough room. I'm gonna try to hang it up behind me. I got it behind me. Shout out to CL. He helped me get the PBO side. So shout out to the PBO side. I'm gonna get a better camera, CL. Then I think it's gonna show more of my room. Then I think I'm gonna hang it on top of that bookshelf. Because for my present, I'm going to upgrade my studio. But shout out to CL. He helped me get the Yeti mic and the PBO side. Maybe Keep It Techie doing it. Yeah, man, sounds been around for years. Essentially decentralized. Have you ever installed it? Keep It Techie. You be installing it on Linux, stuff more on Linux than me. I'm sure it's running on Linux. So I was gonna do a little video on about. Did you do a video on Mastodon? Keep It Techie. I was thinking about doing one. Since everybody's on Elon Musk, I'm late, man. I've been trying to get going. Do you take days where you disconnect from tech sometimes, Professor? Very few days. I do my disconnect is I do different parts of tech. I was getting burnt on AWS, so I start. My passion is nation states doing mass surveillance. So I start doing stuff like that. So I do disconnect. Like I'll go for a walk. I used to run. Now I'm old and fat, so I'll go for a walk maybe for a couple of days. I might not. It's days. It might be a day I might not cut my computer on. I'd be like, so yeah, I disconnect. Not a lot though. I'm actually agnostic on tech. So part of me relaxing, which is weird, is doing tech. So that's the weird part of me. I get relaxed when I'm doing tech, especially text when I'm researching stuff, something I really like. I really enjoy that. My boss said I'm weird because I could read 1,200 pages of HIPAA documentation, right? Because I kind of enjoy that, man. It's weird. I like looking at assessments, looking at the nuances of how to attack something. Shout out to the programmers. When your Tomcat JDBC is connecting to your DynamoDB, that connection is very rarely encrypted because a lot of people think it's the third layer inside of your 3-tier before you get to your database. But if I can get through it into a TCP dump, right, that's always a vulnerability in most people's setup, right? So I'm kind of weird like that. So yeah, I might do that. I just got the Instalink 434 webcam. It's phenomenal. Big. I might have to look into that. So yeah, I'm great, dude. Shout out to Before the Billions. I know he got his webcam. He probably had his webcam for a year. So when you gonna do your videos, Scorpio? You need to go and start getting your videos into the game, man. You should journal what you're doing and what you're learning. right? I actually got an interview with AWS because they came and checked out my YouTube channel. Now I need a little more labbing because I was arguing with the head of federal evangelist for AWS. If everybody saw when Dave Chappelle, when keeping it real goes wrong, that's PBO. I got to learn. I'm going to learn today. Do you listen to the Dark Day? I do every now and then. I don't do it very much, but those are excellent. Those are excellent. Those are always getting recommended by a lot of the bigger YouTube channels. They always talk about Dark Diary. So I don't listen to them. Every blue moon I do. It's weird. Now that you mention it up, I probably start listening to them again. I'd be so busy by the time I do AWS and do some FedRAMP and some HIPAA, eat a little bit. Man, I'll be busy. Do a little real work before they fire me. Man, I'll be tired. Yeah, so that's me. So see, keep it. You got wife and kids, man. My son 34 with kids, so it just be me. So I really be tinkering, man. That's why when PB say, I'm like, yeah, I set up the the VPN client, set up to the AWS VPC, right? Because it's too a lot of times when you set that up. If you set up and tear it down, it'd be like $3. So I be trying to play with all that stuff. So we're trying to get my skills up. So when I get to go for an interview, I'm comfortable with it. I thought about doing a tick. You should. It's verified. Yep. And two is like I said, I probably say I get, which pisses me off sometimes. I probably get one headhunter every couple of weeks talking about, I seen your YouTube channel. I'd be like, nah, dude, don't be bothering me. So now it does help. And two is I'm gonna start collabing with people, PB, and we can collab where I'm gonna start doing full fledged architectures, right? I'm doing one service at a time, but when you ask your questions, like you said, how do you set up VPN client up to a VPC? How do you log all that stuff to figure out if you're not connecting? Where do you connect? How do you set that up and put it into a SNS, a queue, or we just talked about EventBridge? How do you line all it up? That's a full architecture, right? How do you do it from auto scaling group? How do you do it from a API gateway, right, to a queue? And the big time, I'm calling that the big dog is how do you go from API gateway or ALB straight to a Docker container, right? Because really, big companies, they want you to put everything in a Docker container, right? And two is they want you to do it using CloudFormation or Terraform, right? How are you building your stuff, infrastructure code, right? So you got to do it in a container using Terraform or CloudFormation, right? Infrastructure code. How do you do that? And that's usually the next steps. Straight up. Oh, shout out to the coach. But yeah, PB. So yeah, we can definitely collab. That'll help your channel grow. You collab. Once you get started, I tell Keep It Techie to come check you out, man. He got the most subscribers. Shout out to Keep It Techie. He probably helped me get half of my subscribers. So shout out to Keep It Techie. That's all big. Where I'm looking to get into the careers boot camp for sales engineering. That's a dub. Yeah. And two is once you get started, I'll come over there and you can interview me and we can talk about sales and security, how they go together. Because anything you sell, especially if it's from an enterprise standpoint, your security got to be on point or the company's not going to let you do it. Right. So even anything, well, once again, I do state and federal. We definitely going to do a security review. You as a salesperson, you don't have to master that. You just need to understand what does that look like. All right. I'm the sales engineer, right? Okay, I know I need to have my security guy with that. These are our compliances. These are our setups, right? You said you want to set it up, so you got to make sure you set it up securely, right? So you got to work out with your security engineer in there, right? Because when you set it up, you want to set up the demo, you got to set up security. Once again, on am I using IAM roles? My man, are we using a VPN client? Are we doing multiple regions, right? Are we doing edge computing? Are we doing encryption at rest, right? Encryption in transit. How do we do all that? So, yeah. No, it's not how they put in work. No, facts out, but I want to make sure you get your flowers, man, because Keep It Techie was the first guy I really met into the, into YouTube, man. He was super nice to me. I was in this chat helping him out with security questions. He interviewed me. I want to make sure he gets his flowers, man. He's a definitely humble guy. I try to be humble, but definitely, like I said, I got 2,000. I had probably 2,000 subscribers at the end of the month. And like I said, I put in work, but you can put a lot of work in YouTube and get no subscribers. Keep it techie. So no, shout out to him. Like I said, he shares my stuff too and helps me out. So I just want to make sure he get his flowers, man. I want to make sure he gets his flowers, but so I think that's all I got, fellas. Like I said, I probably gonna do something on that. Like I said, it's since Twitter's stumbling, for some reason I got it up on my screen. I was getting ready to do a YouTube video on it. Like I said, he brought it to my light. I just never heard of it. All good, man. That's what the old people supposed to do, Scorpio. I'm here for you, man. Like I said, and two is I'm always here. You can always send me an email, professorblackops@gmail.com. Give me a couple days to answer it. I'm always late on my emails. I got to get better at that. I don't know why I'm always late. I got to get better at my emails. I'm always late. But once again, everybody have a good week. Monday's here, man. The holidays here. 2023 is here. 2022 is over. I don't know why when I go in the stores, we just skipping over Thanksgiving. People got Christmas stuff open. So yeah, check out my man. I'm always supporting Wade. That's a video. Thanks for answering. Oh, cool. Like I said, you're gonna see me on in Black Heights. I'm gonna be on this Patreon, so check him out. Definitely being keep it techie stuff. So y'all will see me around. Keep it techie. Do you got your damn, I just said the name of it. What's the name of it? Discord, man. You got a Discord? Keep it techie. Everybody got a Discord, man. I'm in like 5 Discords. Now I'm in Kev Techs. I always joke. I say I work for Kev Tech. I be in this Discord answering questions. So shout out to Kev Tech in the Discord. So everybody's in the Discord. But once again, there's a lot of dope people in this YouTube space. So many people I met. The thing I gotta push back on and remember is so many people and we huddle together. That makes you think it's a lot of people of us in IT. That is incorrect. So I think when you hear, you just see so many people and you go from oh man, there's nah, man, we still only about 3% in tech. So I just want to get more people in tech, the bags in tech. There's so many people to help you get in tech. I've been making 6 figures in tech for 14 years. So it could be done. I'm just an average dude, man. I just grind. I make mistakes, in lab. And the cool thing too is there's so many labs. Once again, so many great channels. And 2 is everybody's willing to give up information. Let's say, depending on what they are, yeah, easy, yeah. Because most of those jobs are remote. I actually got a couple requests. So yeah, if you do that, yeah, you could easily do that. Because you got to remember, once you get at the top of your game, most of that stuff you're going to be doing, especially if you're doing SRE or DevOps, once you get the pipeline built, right, you just maintaining it. So if you need to spin up another environment, you're going to use CloudFormation or Terraform, right? Or shout out to Keep It Tech and Ansible to do your patching. So most of that stuff should be automated. I don't even know how to say your name, but yeah. So now you could do it because once again, I'm gonna start doing DevSecOps, and we're gonna start really talking about CloudFormation or Terraform. Once you get your templates for your Terraform done, you can run them in any region. You piping in parameters, so you should put 3 or 4 things, and it spins up your 4 subnets, your 5 EC2s, your database, your Lambda, your S3. All of that's just being spent up automatically, so you could do that. Okay, cool. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's kind of I am too. I'm in network. I'm in network bros before the billions. Kev Tex. I'm in like 5. We coming, bro. Most definitely, man. I want everybody to come, man. I don't want to be by myself. Yeah, facts, man. I be in there all the time, man. Like you said, I got my own channel, so probably 90% of my videos I publish them in this Discord. Some of them aren't super security related, so sometimes I get off reservation. So, but if there's security, I post them in there. And the two is I try to. He's got a network sub and stuff. I'll be popping a lot more love. Oh, that's cool. More than welcome, man. And two is if you want a specific subject, just let me know. Oh, yep, right there. Automatic things. Just run small test first. Facts. Got to test it. Got to test. I come to getting fined because employees working multiple jobs. I've been really Oh yeah, you got to be careful with that, man, because people are getting upset. I wouldn't say it's legal. I wouldn't say it's illegal, but it's definitely frowned upon, right? Why would the company get fined for that? Why would I guess for me, keep it. Why would it's not the company's fault? It's the employee's fault. Half the time, the employee not telling the company he's working for two jobs. Why would the employee get fined? Because the employee did a background check. He shouldn't. And two is you got to be careful because now you stepping on my privacy, right? If I got two jobs, it's none of your business, right? Why you running stuff like that? So I don't know. Keep it checking. Why would the company get fined? Like I said, it's the employee. The employee's doing wrong, really, right? Oh no, no, yeah, facts, man. No, like I said, I used to teach, man, and most 99% of the questions people answer are real questions that they need to know. And two is, like I tell people, I've been in IT for 30 plus years. I've been in cybersecurity for 15 plus years, but I need balance because a lot of times I've been doing stuff so old, right? There's new ways and new, better ways to do it, right? Cloud formation when wasn't on when I did my first intern in 1988. When I got my first bachelor's in computer science in 1990, there was no cloud, right? There was no automation, right? So a lot of stuff I do stuff old way, right? I need young people to get new ideas and new techniques, right? Because even though I've been doing it for 30 years, there's a lot better ways to do stuff and a lot of new techniques and a lot of new platforms. So mainly Python, Splunk. Splunk guys get paid, man. My only issue with Splunk, I got a Splunk engineer on my interview too. He's cool. I work with him off and on forever. Splunk is just super expensive, so I only see really big companies have Splunk. That's my only issue with Splunk. Where if you use Elk Stack or like we just talked about, CloudWatch is basically their SIM, but they actually use Open Stash for AWS SIM, which is actually Elk Stack with their hooks in it, right? And we're going to talk about that too in there. Conflict of interest, employee is wrong. Yeah, facts. I think the employee's wrong, but Keep It Techie said that the employer was getting fined. The employee, you got to figure out, like, if you're wrong, and theoretically, if you're supposed to be working 8 hours and you got 3 jobs, right? There's not enough time in the day, right? If I think it was something to do with taxes, it's still, I think that's on the employee. I'll watch the video when it comes out, Keep It Techie. That's why I'll watch the video when it comes out. Yeah, like I said, once again, I think people with me, the employees wrong, not the employer, right? So. Oh, facts. I think in Calvin's right. I think employers just get salty because they think, you giving them a shot because they want you to work 8 hours every minute of the day, right? So I think that's really the only issue. No, true. That's a good point. I love the space. People enjoy the people tell everyone's grinding, helping others. Play. I want to learn, keep the content. Oh, that's cool. I try to do something every day. I try to do something regular. I try to do AWS, and I do. There's a few new people. I make my money in security and compliance. I make sure people are complying with IRS regulations to make sure your computer's secure, or FISMA for DoD, and I do a little HIPAA work, right? So you got to make sure. That's why we were looking at encryption at rest, encryption in transit. How do you set up your VPC? Whatever security classification your data is at, you have to set up your cloud a certain way to meet those regulatory requirements. So that's really how I make my money. I've been doing that probably for the last 7 years. I'm hoping to transition back to. I've done engineering at DoD before I did that, and I programmed 10 years before then. So I actually miss building stuff, but security, the monies was a lot better. And actually, JM knows once you're on call, a lot of times I got PSTD, man. I was getting called at night. We was working 24 hours a day. So compliance, the money's great, and you're not on call. So that's one reason I got it. But I do miss it. So I think I'm a kind of mosey back to engineering for a couple years. So yeah, Python bookstore to make projects. That's it, man. That's it. Let's see. So man, yeah, that's kind of what I'm on. I'm with Calvin. I'm gonna wait on Keep It Tech, get the detail. But yeah, that's some things I need to know. Keep It Tech. I think it's the employee fault, not the employer. But like you said, I'm with Calvin. We're gonna wait on that. We're gonna wait on that. Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna go check this out. Text. Yeah, but Keep It Tech. If I work for two companies, I'm gonna tell each company separately what my location is. So I should get two separate W-2s or 1099s for each company to tell me where to go. But I'm gonna check it out. Keep It Techy. But you see, so like when you said to go back, that's true. One employer is not. I'm gonna get two separate W-2s. If I'm working, or I'm gonna get two separate 1099s. But I'm gonna check it out. Don't worry about Keep It Techy. But like, shout out to Calvin. I'm so each company's gonna know my location, right? And I'm gonna get a W-2. It's not like I'm gonna work and not claim my taxes, right? That's how you go to jail, right? So from that part, I'm claiming my full whatever they pay me. I'm claiming that on my taxes. I'm getting my W-2, or I'm gonna get my 1099. I'm claiming on my hours. Right now, my hours might be a little funky because I'm not showing a timesheet, but those 8 hours are overlapping. But the IRS don't care as long as they get their money. Not as long as they get their money, Keep It Tech, but we'll talk about it. So I do a lot of IRS work, Keep It Tech. As long as the IRS get paid, I don't think they care. I don't think they care. As long as they get the IRS is happy, man, because they're realistically, you working 8 hours, you billing 16, and the IRS getting paid 16, right? So that you doing 8, you paying the IRS for 16. The IRS is happy. Because you paying for 16 because you billing a client and you want to get paid at 16, so you're gonna give the IRS their 16, even though you only work for 8. So I think the IRS is happy. So I don't know, Keep It Tech. I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check. Oh, really? Man, I thought the Bills was going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Scorpio. As long as I give the IRS their 16 hours. I worked 8, as long as I bill for 16 and the IRS gets 16, the IRS is cool. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look at the article. I'm out, y'all. Everybody have a great week. Let's get it. Let's get back onto the grind. Everybody had a good day. Yeah, I'm gonna check out this article Keep It Techy sent out. But yeah, you could. I mean, I think I ain't gonna say a lot of people are doing overemployment. Shout out to Gabe. He did a nice video on overemployment. That's actually the official term for it. There's actually a website called Overemployment if you want to go check it out. So there's a website for overemployment. So once again, Professor Black Ops, I see y'all in these cybersecurity streets. I'm tired. I'm gonna have to take a nap. I just gotta make sure the raccoon don't get me till we get him. Till we trapping tomorrow. Everybody have a good week. Raiders are giving the Cubs nothing. So far. Cool, man. We need a win, man. Even though we probably need to lose so we can get what's my man coming out of Alabama? We need to peace. We need to get the quarterback out of Alabama. So have a good Sunday. Everybody have a good week.